Okay, welcome to the Morielli and Hitch podcast on the Ticats Audio Network. I am your host, Rob Hitchcock. For today, guys, we're going to be calling this the Hitch and Friends or Hitch and Guest Show. Morielli is not here today. We've got a special day planned with you guys, and because he played on the other side of the ball, we thought it'd be fitting without him to be here today. But anyways, he's going to be he'll be listening to this with bells on, and we're looking forward to a great show, guys. I got four special guests, teammates, and most of all, friends that I was very fortunate to have played and been coached by one of them, and the other three, I went to battle with on the field for many years, and all of us won a cup together in 1999. So happy! I'm so happy these guys took the time out of their schedule today to be on this show. But before I introduce them all to you guys and to the fans out there, because I think we have about 17 or 18 viewers right now out there, which is a really big number up from the first week that we did this. This show is going to be a tribute, kind of a roundtable talk, about a coach, a mentor, most of all a friend to all of us over the past couple of years, and Don Sutherin, as you know, as we call him, Sudsy, who passed away on Wednesday. And it was one of those things when I found out that he passed away. It really hit home for me because of the impact that he had on my life. And he passed away in Ohio, with his family, and our thoughts and prayers go out to Nancy and the Southern family, and all the extended family as they mourn their loss and the celebration of his life. So the first guest today is Coach O, Steiny, whatever you want to call him. We're going to keep this nice and politically correct today, guys. 13-year Hall of Fame career, transitioned into coaching shortly after he played. Recently promoted to the president of football operations and still the head coach. Played with the Cats. I think we played with them for 4 years. And you guys can, if I'm getting this a little bit, if I'm getting it mixed up here, you guys can sure tell me, because I know you guys are going to pipe in. A heck of a coach, a heck of a player, heck of a human being. And I'm so happy that he's here. Welcome, O. And,
thank you, Mitch.
Next guy, Joe Montford, 12 years, Hall of Famer, 6 years with the Cats. Words, you can't even talk about the words about this guy. He's just the best defensive end that ever played the game, in my opinion. And we'll talk with him. Welcome, Joe. Third guy, of course, Mike Philbrick. And there was a theme with the first two guys, the Hall of Fame. The next two guys, we're not in the Hall of Fame, but not yet, right, Philly? Mike Philbrick, 11-year career. I just looked at some of the stats, Philly, and you're going to be almost 60. Wow, like you're almost as old as Deke, which is crazy. Dominant D lineman, dominant D lineman in this with the Cats and with the Rough Riders and throughout your career, and just caused havoc, with offensive linemen for all those years. And we're real happy that you're on with us today. And of course, the last guy is Dennis McPhee, as we call him, Deker. 17 years, I think, Deke, you were with on the defensive side of the ball and was right beside Coach Sudsy for all those years, and now he's with the University of Guelph as their D coordinator. So welcome, guys, to this. And Deker, let's start with you. You spent most of your time with Sudsy in the meetings, and I know that you guys didn't want to go home to your wives so you spent 17, 18-hour days at the stadium, and just tell us your thoughts when you heard about this news.
Well, I was devastated to, be upfront about it. I kind of, in this room here is a sort of a basement bedroom in the bottom of the house here that we built for my oldest boy. So I kind of snuck down here and just kind of hid for an hour or two. And, I might have cried a little bit. And I might have grabbed a shot of rye just to think about him a little bit. It was, I was, because I talked to him at least once a month, and I had him up to the University of Guelph to help us out with some stuff. And, I knew something was up, Hitch, when I called him at Christmas time and he didn't answer. And I figured, well, he's got a lot of people over at the house. And then I called him again New Year's and he didn't answer. And that's when I called and found out that there's a reason he wasn't answering. He was sick. So, yeah, I was really, really hurt bad.
Yeah, all of us were. And, Coach O, I know that, you said some great words in the paper and doing some interviews with him. And, what did he do for you and how did you feel that day?
Well, I'll kind of answer that in reverse, Hitch. And believe it or not, with this new role and whatnot, things have been going 100 miles an hour. And I was actually away from my phone for probably about 3 hours. I just had to get some stuff done. And I actually, when I got back to my phone, I had messages from all type of people, and I just froze. I was in my house by myself. It was pretty dark, just kind of looking out the front window. And so I was just spending it with myself. It was just, it was kind of unreal. I didn't know who to reach out to or call because just a few days before that, I definitely not as frequent as Deke. We weren't once a month, but I would say, 4 or 5 times a year, we would have a talk and things like that. And then, of course, when he came up, just seeing him, it's like you've been around him all the time, even though he's moving a bit slower. So I would just say that I was just numb. I didn't know how to feel or think. I didn't know who to reach out to. And like Deke, there were some emotional tears that came through because I didn't know when the last time I was going to say goodbye. And I'm not going to continue down the other path, Hitch, just to let everybody else jump in. But to say what he meant to me it would take a while, and that's what I mean by that. I'll circle back after everybody else has a shot here. But I'll just echo what I've said already, and just he's a man that believed in me. And he just kind of had that knack, and he's a guy that you wanted to play hard for. And without pulling you aside and having a side meeting, when you're on the field, he's a guy you didn't want to let down. And then, I didn't really ever, he showed me around Hamilton and whatnot. But I never had that super, super strong bond off the field with him. But I'll tell you this, that there wasn't anything I didn't feel like I could go to him for. It wasn't like a professional distance that he built. It was just, that was our relationship. So I want to give everybody else their a crack here, but instrumental in why I'm even here today in my position.
Thanks, O. Philly, Mike Philbrick,
yeah.
What do you got, pal?
Well, I don't know. I could talk for hours. I love the sound of my own voice, but I think being in the locker room with you guys and with that coaching staff over that period was truly special. And I think, when I talk to others about other teams that they played on, I only really played on the one main team. I had a cup of coffee in Ottawa, a little bit here and there, but that was my whole career, was Sudsy as my defensive coordinator, soup to nuts. That's basically my full experience. And, before people talk today about extreme candor and accountability, and long before that, we had achieved that in that locker room through his leadership. There was no, mincing around where you stood or what you needed to do or what your accountability was. It was all very well known. And there was an extreme kindness in the candor. It wasn't always the news you wanted or needed to hear, but you knew you were getting the truth. And that was, I think, pretty exceptional at that time, when we go back 20 years. And you think about the team that he had fostered and put together, so many local guys, right? I think there's like a half a dozen guys who are like truly from Hamilton on that team that Sudsy put together. And it's just was an epic experience, which was, I think, stewarded and nurtured by Sudsy's leadership. Yeah. And he allowed us to be men, and he held us accountable to be men. And it was really an experience over those 8 or 9 years that shaped everything I do in business today. Bad news or a tough conversation is something that needs to be had, and it needs to be had quickly, but it needs to be had with compassion in the right way. And he just had an amazing knack for expressing that, and because of that, you'd give your soul for him. Like you'd do whatever it took to get things done. And so I go to bed early. So the news broke. I think Deke called me, Hitch texted me, and I woke up to it at 5 a.m. and it's tough. You got Ange Mosca, we've Coach Lancaster, Bernie Custis, all these great guys who were so instrumental in sort of just being around us and really helping nurture our growth as young men. To lose them is just really, really tough. At the same time, I know Sudsy'd want us to be celebrating his life. He wouldn't want us to be crying up a storm. Although, hey, I'm sure all of us had a couple of tears and thought about things and thought about those cherished memories. And you always have these sort of, shelling points in life where this is one of them, right? It often would be, sometimes they're good events. Like Rob, I'm so thankful that, at your induction onto the wall that we got to celebrate the 99 guys, and we were able to get together with Suds. And I was able to go through those pictures, and me and Campbell and all of us sitting there holding the cup again, having that, time together. And there he was as an 83-year-old guy, drove direct from Ohio, like still in great shape. So, if you're going to go, be strong, be good right to the end. And if you're blessed with that, then, there's some blessings along the way too.
Well said, man. You couldn't have said it any better. Jojo, what do you got, pal?
Yeah, so after my mom passed, man, death, my mom was always a person that looked at life happy and joyous. So after I lost my mom, death came a little different. I always reflected back with the good things that someone did in my life. And Coach Suds was always that person that was always there, just little small things. I remember coming out of the apartment building and they had the little metal things that they didn't want you to get too close to the buttons and stuff. And I put a little dent in my truck. And I said, Coach, man, I got a little dent, man, in my truck. He said, go down there, back down in the corner back there and talk to such and such. They'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. Drove it down there, fixed the old blue blazer up. I was back ready to go. And, that was Suds, that's off the field, coming in as a young man and just really not knowing what it was going to be like, in Canada. And him inviting me in his home. And I remember, everybody drinking their wine and food everywhere. And then he just bringing me around all his friends. Of course, telling me if I don't do right, he's going to give me some cement shoes and throw me in the bay. But, that's
accountability.
Give me a roadmap back down to his favorite thing is called, I'm going to call Millie on you. That was his, his way. I'm going to call Millie on you if you don't, but I always remember, you better get back there at 17. I promise you, when you get there, you're going to get the interception. That's right. Those small things like that. But, I had coaches in the past, I had two great coaches, really, really, really great coaches. My college coach that kind of taught me how to read and do things of that nature. But one thing I appreciated about Coach Suds as far as the football aspect, he was able to identify, it wasn't his system that made you great. It was him being able to identify what a player could do and his talents and being able to put that in his defense. And I thought that out of all the coaches I've had, and I always think about, even when I watch NFL, I think about whatever anybody playing sports, being able to identify the talent that person has, because I think everybody has a certain talent. If you're able to identify it and be able to move them, he moved me to a defensive end position. I dabbled with earlier, but it was like, listen, make this work. I think you'll be good at it. And Hall of Fame later, it's just him being able to move people to plays. Joe Higgins right there, moving him to my spot. He go out there and get an interception, push us further in the playoffs. So it was always him trying to find what you did best. Frank West, hey, we're gonna shut pinball down with you. All these things I remember coach saying, you know what, this is what I want you to do because I think you're gonna be great. And that was him. He always was putting you somewhere to like, listen, you're gonna do this, and I think you'll be great at it. And I remember bringing Hitch down from safety down to linebacker at times. Just different things, man. And I, understand the feel. Well, hey, Filbert, you're gonna sacrifice sometimes, get some holes this way. We're gonna pull the guy over here. We're gonna run the lightning, and he's always to put people in place. And so that was the biggest thing I thought for him is he was always able to read talent, and that's a mark of a great coach.
Yeah, you got it. You got that, man. You hit the nail on the head with that. For me, guys, there's Sudsy loved everybody, and that he loved, but he did have his special guys that he went to, and I think that a couple of us were those guys that we could go to him, on a day-to-day basis and just hash it out. And Morielli and Grigard, we were talking about this the other day about, Phil, you hit the nail on the head when you said that, you get the truth from him. He's not going to bullshit. He's not going to do any of that stuff with you because if he didn't like something, he'd tell you. And that's the mark of a good coach. And, whether you liked it or not, when he came up to you and talked to you, whether it be on the field or, in the meeting room, you wanted to play for this guy. The impact that he had on my life, he gave me my start. He gave me my career when I came up in 1995, being from Hamilton and, it was a lot of pressure, I think, on especially the hometown kids that were coming up playing for their hometown. And I said this in the paper the other day. I think it was about the fourth day of training camp, and Bud said, "Hey, Hitch, get in there." So I went in, and I think it was Brian McCurdy. I think it was McCurdy. I think his last name was. It was playing safety at the time, and I went in and. He said, "There, just get out of here, rookie." And I said, "No, I'm not going anywhere. I just got told to come in." And he said, "No, beat it." And basically, so I don't know what I did. Kind of wasn't in my mentality, but I grabbed his face mask and I just kind of headbutted him quick. And I don't know what came over me there, but I think that that was a real stepping stone. And Sudsy looking at me and saying, "Okay, I'm going to see this kid go in and see if he's going to put his tail between his legs and take off and get out of that huddle." And I think that's kind of where I made that team is, the fourth or fifth day into camp, because as you guys all know, you don't have very many plays in training camp or in games to go out and be a dominant guy or even get a couple of plays to try to make these teams. And Sudsy really gave us that opportunity as a human being and as a football player. And, the special bond that all of us had with him, is going to be with us for the rest of our lives. And it hurt me the other day when I got a couple of calls by people and, my kids didn't know him, but they heard stories about him. And I just sat in the kitchen, just kind of reflecting on all the good times. And, I had tears in my eyes, but I also had, a smile on my face because of all the great times that we all had together. And, that impact for him. And like you said, Philly and Coach O is, it's into my day-to-day business life as well. And I brought what he taught us and mentored us, not just as a coach, but, as a friend as well. And it kind of just showed us the ropes on how to be a good human being and to be honest and don't lie. And that's what kind of, I think, has molded every single one of us into what we're doing today. So, we love you, Suds, but anyone want to jump in? Coach O, something?
Well, I'll just say something real quick that, first of all, Hitch, I'm not sure that was out of character for those listening. Well, for you, no, I'm just messing with you. When it came to Suds, I got to, there's always power in examples and stories. And and whatnot. And I think with Suds, I remember when he was the head coach was my first year. And I remember, okay, let's hear what this head coach has to say. So he brought everybody at Brock University together, huddled up, and I said, okay, here comes one of these head coach speeches. And he said, hey, here it is, guys. If you make plays, you'll be here. Break it up.
Yep.
And we went to our position groups, and I was like, oh, well, we talk about straight to the point. Those are the types of things that Sudsy did. And I think Sudsy ended up getting fired that year. And I think this is a telling thing about him, and I think a credit to not just the people on this call, and, obviously, Deaker, you were super special to him. As you guys ran the defense, I'd never been a place where there's two coaches that ran everything, and that's just the trust and empowerment he had in Deke, and to see their bond was special. But he got fired that year in 1997, and I can't imagine the pride and how humble he had to be to come back in 1998 and be a defensive coordinator at a place he was just fired. And I think if he was here on this call today, he would say that I did it for you guys. And that kind of gets me emotional. He put his own stuff aside and his own pride because he saw something special in everybody, not just on this call, but everybody on the team. He knew there was something special there, and he came back for us. And we finished the deal. And that's the side of Studs that that doesn't get reported, that people don't talk about. And I think those are some of the special times, and there's no doubt in my mind. And then I remember the 1999 Grey Cup, and we were we had lost a heartbreaker in 98, last second field goal, but 99 we're in Vancouver and we're in the meeting room, and Suds was a little bit out of character in his meeting room, and meaning he seemed a little uptight, which he never was. He just, like you guys said, hey Tiggle. They pull, choose pulling on this. You think you can run behind it and tackling? Yeah, I can do it. Okay, it's in. Away we go. That's kind of how he was. But I just remember in BC, he was uptight. And I remember we all kind of looked at each other like, this feels weird. Like, Sudsy's a little uptight. And I remember at the end of the meeting, this was about day 2. At the end of the meeting, he goes, oh, and hey, by the way, if you think my tail's a little tight, it is. Because we're about to go out here and win this one. And that was just kind of it. He just kind of knew the pulse and what to do and what buttons to push out there. And I will just echo this sentiment as a send-off, that he had an uncanny ability to recognize talent in people. I brought up myself that, he believed in me. But he knew exactly what we needed in 1999, and we went and got Mike Campbell, or Junior. And he knew that Gerald Vaughn was a cog we needed. And he knew that we had to, unfortunately move on from Justin Ring and put in Joe Hagan. And he knew that he had an uncanny ability to put people in the right spots. And I didn't really see that in my other 10 years moving along. We did it in Toronto a little bit. And I just think that was a special gift of his. But, I just wanted to share that I truly believe that he came back for us and put his own stuff aside. And that makes me pretty bit emotional. So I thank you guys for letting me share that.
Oh, more to that point, when you say that, and I know Deke can attest to this. However, Coach Lancaster was a great coach. At times, he wasn't a great person in terms to get along with. And a lot of times, Coach Suds had to swallow his pride just to be around us. I mean, he took some heat for us at times. I mean, he took some serious heat, and I could see it on his face, and everybody could see it on his face when you come in the locker room or whatever. And he'll say, if we don't let them score, we can't lose.
Oh, God. Remember that story, Joe? So this one time that he lied to us. We were going into Toronto, right? We were going into Toronto, and we were starting the fourth string quarterback. We were starting a guy we found down on Barton Street, and he came into the meeting room, right, Joe? He says, "Hey guys, those guys in that room across the way are going to need some help this week. But if they don't score, they can't win. We're going to go in there. We're going to hold them to a goose egg, and we're going to win this game. The first 3 plays the defense was on the field were extra points.
That's true. I remember Philly, you yelling at the offense going when they ran out. You were screaming on the sidelines, "You guys got to hold them. Try and hold them."
Oh, jeez.
Oh, God. Well, I'll just say, guys, like, just real quick here was, like I said in our little, our the website that everybody's on, that I think Hitch or Morreale runs or whatever, like just to keep everybody caught up to Darren and Danny and Owen, everybody else, wherever they're at, I wrote on it like, I didn't know what to say. And Scott Fawcett called me and just said, I was pretty apropos what you said. And for me, what it was, I was pretty upset. It was like losing your dad twice, and that's the way I felt about it. I was, one day when I first started with him, he said, what year were you born? I said, I was born in 1958. He said, my first year as a Tiger Cat was 58. And then I went back to the NFL. I said, he goes, you could have been my son. I did pop into the odd bar here and there. And I said, oh, well, we just kind of laughed at that. But the big thing, I remember mostly about Suds. Everything you guys are saying is 100%. I was there sitting beside him, and I saw Coach Lancaster come in, and they would get at loggerheads now and again, but in sort of a different way, I could see that they needed each other. Meaning this, that Coach Lancaster I thought was a great manager, and he was the hard ass, and he would get rid of guys in a lickety split, man. I mean, if you couldn't help us win right now, you weren't around long. Sudsy, as Joseph said and alluded to, and so did Steiny, was the fact that Sudsy never asked any players to do things they couldn't do. Like he got them to do things they could, and that's what I learned from him. And then when Coach Lancaster would stick his head in the meeting room with just he and I in there, he would. Sometimes he would rant and rave, and the door would shut, and Suds he'd say, "Well, we're going to do it this way." And but they were always loyal to each other in a sort of rough sort of way, like Suds he never ever deviated from the path that they had agreed on, even though it took some time for them to get to that point. So the other thing I remember, the big thing that I struggled with was as a Canadian kid, coming in there, it started with, the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. And so for 7 years straight, we went down to the Senior Bowl. And I of course, I'd never, ever been to any bowl games in the United States or anything like that. And I was about probably 31 or 32 years old. And he took me down there, and he knew everybody down there. And, think about that long drive from Hamilton all the way down, and staying over in Louisville, and staying over and then running over to the river boats in Mississippi. He showed me, here, I'll teach you how to play blackjack and stuff like that, and then driving all the way back, and it went from it just we didn't really talk too much about football after a while. It was just about, let me take you here, let me take you there. I'm going to show you, I want to introduce you to some people. And it was just about talking about life in his car, because he didn't want to fly. And so, it was good to be in the car with him all those hours and listen to the gosh dang country music, same country music tapes over and over again, and the Reverend Jerry Clower telling jokes. But I mean, I wouldn't trade that for anything. Those 7 years in the car going south, it was pretty special to me.
That's awesome, Deaker.
Yeah, and you said something about those jokes. He always tell a joke, even if it wasn't funny, you laughed at it.
Yeah. What was that defense? The Blue Bayou defense?
Yeah, let me just start thumb a tail on that. I told Cock yesterday was Eric Carter sitting in the corner, and so at the time Sudsy wanted to meet all together because he probably wasn't sure I was ready to take over my little section there, and so he kept us all together at the beginning, and I remember I was by the lights, right by you, Philly, right by you, and he would say, Deaker, turn off the lights. So I'd turn off the lights, and he'd go, and Cock would be behind me, and all of a sudden he'd say, Gerald, I remember he said to Gerald Vaughn, he said, Gerald, what defense are we playing here? What was called? He said, well, Coach, it's 2-lock strong. And he said, cool, that's excellent. He goes, 2-lock. Eric, what are you doing here? And he said, well, Coach, I'm in 2-lock strong like everybody else. He says, no, you ain't. He says, what do you mean, no, I ain't? He says, you're not in 2-lock strong. He said, what am I in? He goes, you're playing that Louisiana defense. And he said, Louisiana defense? He says, yeah, like, where are you from, Eric? He goes, Coach, I'm from Jessup, Georgia. And he said, well, why are you playing Louisiana defense? And he said, Coach, what's Louisiana defense? He goes, Blue Bayou, and if you do it again, you'll be fucking out of here in a heartbeat.
That's it. That's it. Sudsy had some good rule, and who could forget Gonzo taking copious notes
with his gloves on.
Mickey Mouse with a middle finger by the end of the meeting. That's all Gonzo had. And then who could forget that if you ever had any indigestion in your stomach, you better not do anything in that meeting room.
No, do not pass gas in the meeting room.
I did a few in there.
So we had some, those were fun times there, Hitch, where you'd go outside the door and the door would rattle. That was good times there.
Hey, I had to leave the room, so it just left it a crack open, stuck the old crack right into it, and let her go.
You couldn't be late to a meeting, so we had a lot of folks in towels in the meeting rooms. He didn't care. When he had that clicker. That's all that mattered. He just wanted those lights flipped on, and I don't know how many people we got in that little room.
Oh, geez.
It was like a bunch of clowns in a VW Bug.
Yep.
Speaking of Gonzo, Philly, you probably remember this. I'll let you tell this one. Remember Tim Fleiser came on as a young rook, and we were all sitting in our meeting, and Gonzo was struggling with something. I can't remember. And I said, why do you guys got to make this meeting so arduous? No, so laborious. Go ahead, Philly. Laborious and arduous.
I think it was arduous. Why you got to be so arduous? And Fonzie says, I dated a girl named Arduous one time.
He probably did.
God. It was.
Oh man,
Gray Wolf and Stray Wolf.
But we managed to win too. That was a good time. So. And definitely, we love you, Suds.
Hey, Coach. Hey guys. I talked to Calvin yesterday. He sent his regards, and he hit me up, and he was like, "Man," I was like, "Yeah, tough time," because I actually found out the news. I was about to take a shower, and I seen a Ontario number show up, and I normally I just kind of looked at it, and I was like, "Okay," and it was
Steve Milton.
Steve Milton. Steve Milton giving me a call, and just kind of
Yeah.
Kind of like going through your head, and just at that time, just saying thank you. A lot of times you can say a lot of words, but at the end of the day, like Hitchcock, he just gave you a chance. I know the guys coming from the States, you want to get to the NFL, and when it doesn't happen, you kind of question your talent at times. But right away, I only played a few games in Shreveport. So when we did the expansion draft, where we had 30, 40 some people coming up from Shreveport, pretty much the whole team. And after the first cut, it was 2 people left, and I was still fourth string with one game to go. And they had already popped Calvin Tibble in there, so And I remember they had Tim Brown, and they moved Tim Brown over to Will Backer and popped me out. I had to made my way all the way up beside Tiggs, and they moved Tim, who was the starting Mac backer, but they knew he wasn't going to be there because we had Calvin, and at the time coming from Toronto, and then Tim got out there, and he probably played his worst game he's ever played. He probably was a little bit better than that game that he played, but he was going under blocks and all of that. And then the second half, I ended up starting, and like I said, the rest is history. In terms of me, probably the only one making it from the Shreveport team out of 40 guys. But that goes back to what O says. He was always able to recognize talent, and I for me, I appreciated him, taking a look at a guy that was small in stature, but did different things, special things, and he found places to put me in, in his defense. So, thankful for that.
Let me say this, Joseph. Honest to God, we're in our meeting room, little meeting room there, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but speaking of that, you coming in, Shreveport, we'd gone down there and played, and then and we won down there. We came back, and then the team disbanded. And we got the dispersal draft happened, and our first pick was Joe Horn. And I remember it was Joe Horn first, who we never saw. He went to the NFL, we never saw him. But I remember when they picked you, he said, we're going to take, and you were, I think, playing Will linebacker in Shreveport, if I'm not mistaken. And he was looking at the film and looking at the film and looking at the film, and he goes, Deaker, what do you think about this guy here? And I said, well, Coach, I was still young. I said, well, he's athletic. He's freaking changed direction, big arms, whatever. And he's like, I think we're going to take this kid. I think he can play defensive end. We're going to bring him in, and I'm going to pick him. And he did. And that's exactly happened in that meeting where I used to turn the lights out, sitting beside Philly in his towel, and Cock sit behind me doing whatever he was doing. And
saying that.
Just for the listeners that don't know Cock, that would be Hitchcock. So
that's why I said saying that.
The rest is history. The rest is history. He took Joe, and Joe did pretty good.
Yeah. Well, let me just give you a 30-second or so. We're in training camp at Brock, and I didn't know Eric Carter was the man. I didn't know he was coming back from the NFL, and so I was making some plays that Eric would take reps, and then I was second string, and I'd take some reps. I made a few plays. And he comes over to me and he goes, hey, come here, kid. And I was wearing number 20 at that time, big, heavy number. And back then you had to wear thigh pads with big shoulder pads. And he comes over and he says, hey, get to the right corner. You're going to play a long time in this league. Eric's on the left.
Yeah.
There's a perfect example of, and you talk about the rest is history.
Yeah. Eric doesn't want to get out of the stands. Eric's going to go to the wide side.
That's right.
Hey, Deaker, what
right.
number did Eric play?
Watch the quarterback too much.
Deke, what number did Eric wear? What number did he wear?
2.
2 of these nuts on your chin.
I was waiting for someone to drop the D's.
You walked in, Cock walked in, you prick. You walked in the meeting and you go, the first time you got me was like this. Deke, you're pretty good at trivia, right? You're pretty smart. I go, yeah. He goes, that race car driver from Europe. What's his name? Emerson? Emerson? No, Fittipaldi. What's his first name? I go, Emerson. He goes, Emerson, big nuts in your chin, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Hey,
well,
you guys remember down in Broad University, and we're going through training camp, and little Archie is just standing close to Coach. Archie always like to kind of hang over with the defensive guys and rub shoulders. He kind of really loved Coach Suggs, and he get beside Suggs, and this big old hawk comes and lands on the field goal post. And Archie says, be careful, son. He's going to pick you up and take you away. And I thought it was just so funny. In the middle of practice, this big hawk just flies in. He said, you guys don't have those big birds in San Diego. But, yeah, I thought that was too funny. That everybody was, nobody was off limits to his jokes. He was always there.
Well, guys, I was the other day when I was thinking about Mike and I were talking about kind of having this show, a little tribute to Suds, and there is so many guys that could have came on this show and just been great, because there's so many guys love Sudsy and were an impact in a lot of their lives, but it didn't take long to put a small group together, and we couldn't have too many guys just because of just the way these podcasts are. But you four guys, just what an amazing job. And for the listeners out there that didn't know Coach Sutherin, you sure got a great picture of the man and who he was and what he meant to us as not only as a coach, but as a human being and a teacher to all of us. And guys, I'll just say, if you've got any last words, it'd be great. If not, then we can kind of just cut it off here. And anybody got any last words?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think something to remember, or something that is evident by this, sort of 40-minute conversation, unplanned, impromptu. And by the way, thank you for including me in this group, because I would hate to have missed it. But he's with us now, and he'll be with us forever. And he will be with us in how we treat others and how we go through our lives. And so his lineage, his legacy lives through us. And, it's a pretty awesome thing when you're in a position like Coach Sutherin was, all the way back to Ohio and the Rose Bowl, and talking about what was the coach back then? Oh my God, it escapes me.
Woody Hayes,
right? Like, that's the lineage that you're dealing with. Obviously, he learned things, he implemented things. He was a certain man in a certain way that was formed by some of the people before him. He passed that on to us, and it's our responsibility to continue that legacy as we go through our lives. It's really poignant for you in the line of work you chose. And Rob was saying you played for 13 years and coached, and then started coaching. I think you played for a year, coached for 12 while you were a player, and then became a coach officially as you moved on one of the highest IQ players I've ever known. But anyway, I just think it bears repeating and reminding that although he's gone from this life, his impact is not gone, and his impact has been pervasive across a very long career that is stellar. And so I just think we should all remember that.
Awesome. Yeah, and I just want to say, on behalf, just of everybody who's not on this call, and people that felt it, and even people that all the text messages that we all received, we're representatives of all of them. Sudsy impacted everybody's lives, from people's names that you wouldn't remember from the '99 team, from players that he released in training camp. I just know that we're carrying that torch right now on this call for all of them. So, I just want to say out loud, because he is with us right now, I just want to say thank you, Suds, for impacting our lives, both as men and as football players.
Amen.
We carry you with us, so thank you.
Yeah, well, I just say, guys, just Joey, I will let you finish, Joe. I'll just say this, that everything I have as a football coach is a derivative of Coach Sutherin, for sure, 100%. And I will say this, that team and those years were special. I think the success that a lot of the players on that team have had is a byproduct of that environment. And I know he's gone, and one thing I'm very happy about is that we're all still close. We will always be close. And if not everything, the big part of that is because of the flame that he ignited, and it'll burn in us till we stop breathing. So I know he's up there somewhere, and he's happy.
Yeah.
And he's proud of us.
Yep. Yeah. And we should thank the Sutherin family too for sharing him with us. I mean, it's no small 100%. Feat to be the family of a professional coach, and that family supported him and cared about him.
And to echo that, Philly, which I still talk to Jill on Facebook, and every time we would see Nancy, it was always great. She would come and hug and show love, and so with that thought, I had two groups of men in my life and that was men from South Carolina State. That a lot of people, like when you go to college, some people don't talk to the people they play ball with. You know, I had a special bond with those guys, and so that '99 group in Hamilton, everybody they don't have this, and Coach Suggs assembled that. You know, they don't have the love that we have for each other. So what I want to say is Coach Suggs was hard, but at the same time, he showed love. Like, he showed love in his special way. And I want to just say thank you for the love that he gave me, and that he gave all of us. And I want to say that to, even when he had to release guys, he had that love for them. It hurt him. It hurt that he couldn't keep certain guys. And to the extent sometimes he kept guys that he knew he probably should have let go. But he loved them, he loved having them around. He knew what they meant to the locker room. He knew that their spirit in the locker room might have been something more than just playing on the football field. And it gave our team a lot more than just being the talent. So he recognized the talent, not just on the field, but what it brought to the locker room. Just thanks, Coach. Thanks for the love.
Well said, Joe. So, guys, I want to thank all four of you guys for coming on today. You guys are all special to me, and I love you guys. And let's keep in contact. Stay safe. And for those listening, thank you. Thank you. You're listening to the Morielli and Hitch show, but actually it's the Hitch and Guest show on the TiCat Audio Network. Guys, stay safe, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Love you all, man.
Love you. Love you guys. Thanks, Hitch.
Hey, guys.
Goodbye.